We just got another reminder that C-SPAN is a national treasure. On top of the floor speeches and committee hearings, there are often remarkable call-in segments and congressional moments that you just can't find anywhere else. The latest involves House Republican John Rose of Tennessee, who brought his 6-year-old son to work. The kid sat behind Rose during his dad's floor speech in defense of Donald Trump, and clearly the 6-year-old is not a Trump fan.
Regardless of one's opinion of the current Republican nominee, we'd be well served to remember the long and cherished tradition we have in this country of settling our political differences at the ballot box. For nearly 2.5 centuries, our nation's elected leaders have properly resisted the temptation to oppose their political rivals through the weaponization of our justice system. Equal justice for all. And an overall trust in our justice system is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
Here is the church, there is a steeple. Trump's a convicted felon, and he isn't one of our people. Junior also has a squishy in his hands. Hey, kid, if you think your dad is boring, throw up some signs and wave them off.
The facts behind these flimsy charges against President Trump were already examined by prosecutors nearly a decade ago, resulting in the conclusion that the facts did not support criminal charges. Last Friday's verdict was clearly the result of a prosecution in search of a crime. The primary accusation in the entire case is that of falsifying business records, a misdemeanor crime in the state of New York. Yet this district attorney questionably elevated these charges to felonies, dubiously creating what was essentially a first-of-its-kind prosecution.
Speaking of first-of-a-kind, I don't recall any squishy ever being popped and spilled on the House floor. Congressman John Rose's son seems to be on the verge of history, but those squishies are a lot stronger than most 6-year-olds know, thanks to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And on this day, the congressman's son was unable to rip open his toy. Perhaps he needed to hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Anyway, as Congressman Rose droned on, his son decided to play to the cameras a little more and kept laughing at his dad's GOP talking points.
For those not convinced Donald Trump's prosecution was driven by nefarious politics rather than the law, consider that the DA who brought these charges actually campaigned on, quote, getting President Trump. Also consider that the entire basis for this verdict is the testimony of a convicted felon found guilty of perjury who also admittedly stole money from the Trump organization. The same witness has since celebrated the verdict, even saying the verdict is, quote, exactly what America needs right now, close quote, and, quote, I would like him to feel what I felt, quote, close quote. Revenge seems to be the motive. We're hearing the quiet part out loud, Mr. Speaker.
And at this point, we are stopping the video because it appears that Mr. Rose's son is trying to stuff his squishy up one of his nostrils. Generally, that is physically impossible, but take it from me, little boys can surprise you. Anyway, kudos to Congressman Rose for bringing his son to work. The kid's antics were hilarious and definitely softened the hard edge of Congressman Rose's MAGA mania. And one gets the feeling that Congressman Rose has had his children sit through a lot of boring political speeches. After this one, social media had a field day. Several commenters described the boy as an icon and a king. Elizabeth Gonzalez wrote, "This is honestly how we're all feeling after Memorial Day recess week." A few other people said that after having a good laugh, folks should look up the Rose family's unique environment. Well, we did, and discovered that John Rose first met the mother of that young boy when Mr. Rose was 41 years old and his future wife, Chelsea Doss, was 17. They were reportedly introduced at a Future Farmers of America conference. According to media reports, they got married 4 years later when Chelsea was 21 and John Rose was 45. A House government website says they have 2 sons. Now, there are no indications that Chelsea and John were a couple when Chelsea was still a teenager and he was 41 years old. And there's nothing illegal about marrying somebody half your age as long as your spouse is of age. But as several Tennessee newspapers have reported, it may still strike some people as creepy. Whatever, we should all be glad that they have a son who doesn't take his dad or his dad's politics very seriously. And thanks again to C-SPAN for bringing us yet another moment of levity on the House floor. By the way, Donald Trump, now a convicted felon, just erupted and is getting brutally mocked.
Donald Trump is getting even crazier. When I say crazier, I mean angrier, more unmoored from reality.
Check out that video at the link below. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.